This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. What's up, man? Y'all know what it is. It's Q and Gbush. We here to talk about it. G with the sweater on today. You know what? I usually come on here and I usually give you a bit of hassle about your outfits. But you know what, man? This one ain't bad. This one clean. I'm with it. I'm with
clean.
It's
Shout
clean.
out to J.R. Smith, man. You know the HBCUs out there. I see you, man. My dad went to HBCU. Shout out to Central State. He got he got what we would have called Cosby sweaters back in the day. But we don't call him that no more. This dude, he went to it, which is kind of impressive. He was my dad, he ain't my mom is way smarter than him. Let's just keep it real. My mom is like a magna cum laude. She one of them people that you go to the award ceremony. She got all the ropes around her neck, like all the tassels and the colored jewels and all that good stuff. My dad, they just gave him a diploma, but he get extra credit because listen, I said, bro, you graduated college dang near during the civil rights, bro. You know what kind of craziness that is? That's stupid. That's like 71.
What year did he graduate? He graduated 71?
Nah, it was like 70, 75, 76.
Oh, come on, man. You can't. When they passed the voting rights bill, like 66?
Yeah, 66, but it was residuals. I said, bro, you lucky you was in Ohio. You down in Mississippi. Y'all have still been sharecropping.
Probably looking at you like, well, I was in middle school when they passed. What are you talking about?
Shout out to them, man. You know what I'm saying? I remember, to be truthful, though, it ain't even the reason I got these joints right here. It's like, I remember, if y'all want to go look at it, back in the day, TLC had this song, baby, 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 doom, doom, doom. I got so much. Yeah, all right. Yeah. So that one, they got that, but they had the gray ones of these. They had the Southern, so go back and look at that video on YouTube, and they had the HBCU little patch. I said, oh, right there, there it is. They had the little HBCU.
Wait a minute. Time out. Are you telling me you bought that sweater when that TLC song came out? Is that what you? No.
I had some cousins that was that age.
I feel like that was a limited run. Yeah, and it's kind of young on you. Don't tell me you got a sweater as old as me on right now, dog.
Hey, listen, I got the whole sweatsuit, but Quincy, what happened was they didn't have the whole sweatsuit ain't properly sized. So I got the shirt is like a 2X, but the sweats is on Slim Color Calhoun. They're like slim. Them boys is high rise. Yeah, they built different. They look like leggings. They're like North Carolina A&T leggings. So I don't really wear the bottoms, but TLC had this joint. Go back and watch it. They was in the college dorms and they had them. It was a great joint. I said, I got to have one of those. I waited them out. And then probably 2-3 years ago, I found a site that was selling them and I bought every one of them.
2-3 years ago?
2-3 years ago. So, it's in this era. So you trying to put me in a different era. I don't belong in Q.
You just said you was listening to TLC in your dorm room. You put yourself in this era. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You trying to put this on me? I didn't bring up TLC. You brought up TLC.
Your audience that I'm 50, I'm pushing 50. I
ain't saying nothing.
I'm in the same demographic as you. I'm right.
Chilling.
I'm like a Gen.
All I know is Migos was hot when I was in college. It wasn't no TLC when I was in college.
So you want my era? So here I'm gonna give you my era. So who was hot? So Nelly was hot back then when I was in college. Nelly was hot. 50 Cent in a club came out, was crazy. Yeah, a little bit.
Oh,
Don't you say oh like that? Oh,
you was listening to Many Man at the pregame. That's nuts.
Listen, trust me, trust and prove.
Like
I was listening. Little John was crunk music was just on the forefront.
So when G. Bush was in college, somebody hit him up, was like, "Hey, you gotta hear about this new cat, Lil Wayne."
I got some Wayne. Look, listen, the Hot Boys.
Hey, he gonna be something in the future.
Yeah, like listen, I put $25, $45 down on Lil Wayne when he was in the Hot Boys, him and Turk and Juvenile. Right? Listen, I was doing it. Listen, when I was in high school, DMX came out with 2 back-to-back albums. That was crazy. 6 in 6 months went platinum, double, quadruple platinum. So yeah, and I'm one of them. I'm an '80s guy, man. See you about 96, right?
95. See, look, look, just so y'all know, so y'all don't think there's elder abuse out here. I did not do any of this to G. Bush. G. Bush brought it all up himself. I just asked some very pointed questions because he told me that he saw that sweater in a TLC video, and I was just wondering. If he saw it in the TLC video, you must have bought it a minute ago.
See, this is why your videos
I was about to compliment you for being able to fit in something you wore in college. Because I can't do it.
That's the problem with you, pussy. You got that way that you persuade. You want to present this information, this narrative, and you good at painting narratives. You really good. That's why you got all these followers. You paint them real good. He tried to sneakily say that I was pushing 56.
I ain't trying to sneakily say nothing. You told America this when you came on here. Trying to stay. I'm out here sneakily doing anything. I am up here in earnest. All right. Let's talk about Browns free agency for G. Bush. Tell us what his social security number is by accident and blame
Y'all
me.
Ain't gonna get nothing. You gonna owe money.
See, look, I did not offer the fact that you. See, look at what he offered. He telling you right now he got bad credit. I ain't saying word. I was trying to segue. That's what I was trying to do.
Why you think I married my wife? She Asian. She got perfect credit.
Okay. So, Browns free agency. What are your initial thoughts, Garrett?
Well, listen, man. As we regroup, I saw you was getting into Quincy is now, he was getting into the Game of Thrones sword battles on Twitter. I was peeking behind, looking around. And
I wasn't even battling. I was conversating. I don't know. There were a couple people on there. I was like, all right, now you just coming at me at bad faith. I'm going to have to let you know you're going to be out of here. That was it.
The Jerry Jeudy conversation. Listen, I always tell people, man, it's either now or later. What I'm saying? The Cleveland Browns went and got Jerry Jeudy. It cost them nothing. And Minimoski, as I like to say, 56. And people don't understand why they would go out and extend a guy like that. Because I keep telling you, they're paying you based on what you think he gonna do in your system, based upon what he's gonna do with Deshaun Watson as he has a better year, and based upon what the future evaluation and the future value for him is. And so some people look at the deal and it's crazy to me because I feel like the cap is imaginary. I'm gonna just tell you that right now. Does it count? Yeah, it's a little tongue in cheek when I say it, but the cap be going up. They be doing mental gymnastics on this cap. And if there's one team of people that I love, the fact that they are Ivy League educated, finances what they do. They manipulate the cap better than a lot of these teams and every day and twice on Sunday. So that's what they do. So when you get a Jerry Jeudy and you look at it and you say 41 million, I go back and remind people, y'all didn't like the David Njoku move. All of a sudden, that David Njoku move looks really good. Right. Now for every one that you have, there may be a bad one or so. I don't love the Jack Conklin signing. I think they could have did without that. But when it comes to Jerry Jeudy, we haven't drafted all that well at receiver. He was a guy that the Browns have identified for 2+ years that they wanted to go get. And on top of that, he's very young and they feel like he's going to fit what they do best. So to me, the outrage over the amount of money, which I could care less. I don't care what nobody make. I don't care what nobody's checks or pockets. But the outrage is kind of crazy because He's giving you 800, 900 yards with a quarterback that don't throw the ball downfield all that well, and Russell Wilson in the offense that like I feel like is kind of like dated when you talk about Sean Payton. So for me, I like the move. I don't see what the big deal is.
What was his name out there? Nate Daniel, whatever. the dude they had out there to try to get Aaron Rodgers. Nathaniel Hackett, yes, who also did a horrible job with the Jets.
Davy Crockett. He sounded like he next door neighbor to Johnny Appleseed or something. What a terrible name. Go ahead.
Yeah. But yeah, my whole thing on it is, one, I just have a question for people. Like, do they have buzzwords that hit their phone? And if it's like Browns contract, we gotta complain about it, right? Like, it feels like every time the Browns sign somebody to a contract, somebody got some shit to say about it. Like, we gonna misinterpret it, we gonna misunderstand it, and then we gonna use our misunderstanding of the facts of the contract dictate how we talk about the contract. And the way that people talk about this contract are as if the Browns are in the cap hell that people were predicting that they were gonna be in 3 months ago, that they definitely weren't ever in trouble of being in. And it's like, it's $17 million a year for a wide receiver. That's not crazy. The going rate for, like, if people are like, well, this is the number one receiver, they're betting on him to be a number one receiver. No, they're not. They're betting on him to be a high level number 2 receiver, right? Like, that's what $17 million gets you. A number 1 receiver, like Calvin Ridley just got paid for, is $22 to $28 million a year. So this is a contract where, like, hey, if he does blossom into a number 1 guy, we get insane. We're talking about maybe $8 to $10 million under market value on this contract. And if it does work out that he's similar, slightly better than what he was in Denver, then we're playing about market value for that production. So I don't get it. And, like, look, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because Steve Smith and Mark Schlereth don't like him. And you know what happens when a player gets a bandwagon on them and people start, like, you know, it becomes in vogue to start to hate on a player. People don't really look at what that player's production has been. But when you hear people like Mark Schlereth call Jerry Jeudy a bust, it makes me wonder, what the is a bust anymore? Like, because he's underperformed, right? From what the expectations were of him. But he was also the 15th overall pick in the draft, which is decisively mid to late first rounder, not early first rounder. And when you draft a wide receiver in the mid to late first round, 800 yards a season is fine, right? It's not great, but it's Zay Flowers. Gee, would you call him a bust?
No. He was roughly
same production as Jerry Jeudy. Same production. It's funny how the perception of his production changes simply because, 1, he's in a horrible situation. 2, he was one of the people that they made the scapegoats of that situation. 3, it became in vogue to kind of talk your shit about Jerry Jeudy. And then he had other players who are better drafted after him, right?
Yep.
And just because all of that happens, people like forget that he's still like, I was hearing all this stuff about Jerry Jeudy. I was expecting his numbers to look like Elijah Moore's in New York.
Yeah. Now listen, if they would have gave Elijah Moore this deal, I would have been like, yeah, that's a reach for his
Here's
production.
The part that drives me nuts. If they would have gave Elijah Moore this deal last year, there would have been less people puffing their chests out to be critical about it than if they gave Jerry Jeudy this money. It's all about perception, and the perception is off. I think people are just low on Jerry Jeudy. Now, do I think he's going to come in here and get 1,300 yards and be one of the best receivers and live up to all his draft hype? No, I think he's going to be about a 900 to low, like 1,100 yard receiver for the Browns. And then if he does that, that's work.
1,100, we I'm clap it up. Like, let's be clear. And if you go back, and here's one thing that I always hate. They always say, for the detractors who talk about Deshaun Watson, they always say, at some point, G. Bush, at some point, Q, at some point, Deshaun Watson is going to have to make everybody better. They're going to have to make people around him better. They're going to have to get guys that are not to be average, to be good, from good to be great. Now, if you think that Deshaun Watson is going to do that because you've obviously invested in him as a quarterback, you've obviously given him the contract, then why would you not think that Deshaun Watson is going to make Jerry Jeudy a better football player? Second of all, when he got to Denver, it wasn't like he had Peyton Manning throwing him the rock. It was Drew Lock. Like, you got a guy that's fighting for his life as a quarterback in the league, and then you get Russell Wilson, who is arguably at the in latter part of his career. And you acting like he had the best of both worlds throwing him in the football. And then the final thing is this too. And I like the fact that you pointed it out. Man, we get these things where, there's a lot of guys, and here's just the problem with it, Q. And I say it all the time. There's a lot of people that ain't really watching the games. And the messed up part about it is there's a lot of guys that are in the mainstream media that don't watch games either. I got in this community. I got in the game and start looking around and be like, so y'all don't be watching no tape? So y'all don't watch none of, like, you just saw the game once? And be having the nerve that be having people at their house when they watching the game. Like, they'll have outings. Like, yeah, I had, my wife's and her sister were over. We were having a little gathering during the Browns. Ain't no gatherings during the Browns games where I'm at. None. There is zero. My wife don't even gather when the Browns is on. These people don't be watching the games. So when somebody says something negative, they just take it and run with it and be like, oh, this sounds great. This sounds awesome. And then when enough people say it, it becomes fact.
Yeah. People just have whatever they have against him. And at this point, it's like, I just want to see him play football. I think it's a new environment for him. It's a new start. We've been in situations, right, in our personal lives, me, G. Bush, you at home, where we've worked somewhere or done something. It could be your teams you played for in high school if you haven't worked a bunch of jobs yet, but we've all worked in environments where we definitely weren't our best selves because we hated going to work, right? We hated the environment. We hated being there. So we wanted to give as little of ourselves as possible in that environment. Look, man, I know Jerry Jeudy ain't supposed to be out here coming back at all the ops on Twitter. I know people going to have a general problem with that. But what that indicates to me is that he hated being in Denver. Like, he hated the fan base. The fan base hated him. And he was not a fan of the situation that he was in Denver. Now, that doesn't mean that magically, just because you're somewhere new, it's going to get better. But I'll give a perfect example. I went to a terrible high school. Like, the high school was underfunded. It wasn't the people who worked there's fault, but the environment was awful. I was a horrible student in high school. I didn't go to class. I skipped all the time. I think I somehow got out there with like a 2.0, right? I go to college. I love the environment I am in. I have an advisor who's pointing me in the right direction. I get some momentum with my grades. And the next thing I know, I graduate magna cum laude from a college when I couldn't get a 2.0 in high school. It was all about the environment that I was in. Right?
Somebody get him some confetti coming down. He just slid that one all the way in. Magna. You see how his mouth got all big? Magna cum laude. He said all the syllables.
It was Magnum. You know what I mean?
He said all the syllables, bro. Shout out.
Yeah. Yeah, I had all them ribbons on.
You earned all the ropes.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you just don't get the most out of somebody because of the environment that they're in is not necessarily conducive to success. And to Jerry Jeudy's credit, he's been a relatively productive wide receiver in the face of an environment in which it sounds like he hates. Like, just the fact that Cleveland is not Denver, that there's not a Mark Schlereth always talking some kind of, like, that he's not always going to be in that negative environment. Who knows? Somebody might decide to take up that mantle. G. Bush, it might be you. You know, you might decide, oh, this dude need, like, there's going to be some obstacle for him to overcome, but this is his second time to come over those obstacles, and it's just a new environment. He has new teammates. He feels like he's in a different situation. And this team actually went to the playoffs.
Let me throw this at you. There's something to be said for a person when somebody invests in you personally, right? It's something to be said when somebody says, hey, we want you. We've identified you and your skill set as something that we would like to enhance our organization. Not only do we want you and we're going to trade and use assets to go get you, when you get here, sight unseen on the practice field, we believe in you so much, we're going to extend you right now. Don't even worry about that 5th year stuff. Don't even worry about that. We feel that's how solid we feel about you as a prospect and as an individual. And when somebody pours into you, when somebody believes in what you can do, you will run through a brick wall for the people, right? Because you will say, you gave me an opportunity and a chance when everybody else did not give me that same opportunity. And for me, I like the fact that the Cleveland Browns are being known in those circles as a team that is going to re-sign their guys. Because when he came in, Zadarius Smith said, I wanted to be here. Maurice Hurst, I wanted to be here. All these other guys, I want to be here. Hey, we didn't even take Nick Chubb no money yet, right?
Look at what they did with David Njoku, right? I know people point to David Njoku as where this could be the success thing, and I think that's kind of what the motto they're after. David Njoku wanted to get traded, right? He was not the most positive locker room guy. He did not have the most, but the Browns in 2020, was it midway through 2021, they decided to give him an extension, right?
Yep.
And people were really critical with that at the time. Oh, yeah, how you going to give him this? He's not mature. He can't even catch the ball consistently, all this stuff. Well, David saw that they invested in him and then started to invest more in himself. And then we saw it kind of come to fruition this year. I'm not going to bet against people getting better if they haven't been given that opportunity to do better, right? And Jerry Jeudy is a classic case of somebody who was drafted into a bad situation. And you know what's funny? If this trade were flipped, if the Browns were like drafted Jerry Jeudy pick 15 and then traded him to Denver, oh man, would the critics love it. The critics, they locked him down on cheap money. But this is essentially the reverse of what Bill Belichick and everybody else used to do to the Browns. Oh, yeah, this dude ain't working. We're going to get him. Yeah, we're going to get it right with him. And the next thing you know, we're going to have him under a deal. Oh, what geniuses are they to pick from the Browns? Well, this is the Browns picking from somebody else. And, we talked about it. Perception has not met reality with the Cleveland Browns in some areas. And this is one of them. Andrew Berry is one of the best GMs in the NFL. Right? We all accept this. He has done a great job of targeting and accumulating talent through trades. He's done some stuff in the draft. He's done some stuff with free agency. The Browns are a much better franchise in 2020 and beyond than they were before Andrew Berry, right? And if he feels strongly about this, that does mean this is not the same as Ray Farmer signing somebody on an extension. This means something. Like, they see something that they really believe in. Now, are they going to be 100% right every time they feel that way? No. But that does mean that this is not just they're not just throwing contracts out. They're doing this for a reason. And it would probably behoove a lot of people to just, maybe take it serious that they're doing this instead of like immediately trying to think of memes and jokes because Steve Smith said something not so nice about Jerry Jeudy on television one day. Like, it's the whole situation around it is just silly and kind of exhausting.
Well, it is. And so what I want to do is I want to freestyle a little bit, go off script a little bit. Let's do some word association. So I'm going to throw out a name of an addition to the Browns, and you give me the first thing that comes to your mind. When it comes to let's start with what's the name? Let's start with the addition to the coaching staff. Mike Vrabel. First thing that comes to mind.
Mike Vrabel. Angry. Mustache.
And how angry and how does that anger translate to what he's going to do with the Browns?
Well, I mean, he's passionate. That's what I'll say about Mike Vrabel.
Okay.
He's a passionate dude. And if you give him a job, he's probably going to try to do his best to do it to his fullest extent.
All right. Deontay Foreman.
Undervalued.
I like that. I think Deontay Foreman if this would somebody said this about 12 years ago, like if he was in the 80s, I think he would be somebody's number one back. But since we've gone to the two-back game, I think he's, he didn't stick in Tennessee, didn't really stick it with the Bears. I thought he had some nice years. I like him. I think he's an upgrade to the short yardage game, goal line game. So I like what they did with that. Let's go with Hicks in the middle, linebacker.
Serviceable veteran.
Is he an upgrade from Taki, or is it a wash?
I don't think he plays the same position as Taki.
So they still need a mic then, right?
No, they got a mic. That's JOK. They're moving. I think he's kind of just there to kind of rotate in when they want to move JOK around in some special packages.
Okay. Devin Bush.
Experiment.
Okay. I like he had a skill set that I like. He moves from. He can run. He
can't cover, but he can't cover. But he gonna be a run thumper. Like I think that he's gonna do what Sione Taki used to do.
Okay, so you got that, and you're moving with that. Let me see who else has the Browns gotten. We've talked about Jerry Jeudy a little bit. Did anybody who else did they bring in
this offseason? They brought a lot of dudes back.
They brought a lot of guys back, like Hurst and Zadarius Smith.
Oh, Quentin Jefferson.
Yeah. What do you think about him? I think he could be a rotational piece. What do you think? Word association?
About the same. I think Sione Taki is in trouble. I mean, not Sione Taki. Siaki Ika.
Yeah. Because I would have expected them to give Jordan Elliott's position to him. Like, all right, we're gonna use you as a rotational piece. We're not gonna bring anybody else because we got you.
It sounds like another year of game day inactives at best.
That's crazy. Healthy scratch. So and then they even brought Rodney McLeod back. And they, what you think about that? Like Rodney McLeod? Like I thought that they was gonna move on from him, especially since they had, some of the younger guys.
No, what that tells me is they feel like the vibes are perfect in that room and they just want to bring back the vibes, right? Like they felt like that defensive room had a really good dynamic, a really good culture, a really good attitude, and they didn't want to mess with that too much. They were very careful about whoever they brought in, especially if they were going to be a big name. And if they didn't bring any big names in, they were going to just bring in them guys who are culture fits, right? Like if they bring in a guy that might start, it would be somebody like a Calais Campbell where there's no worries about what that man's locker room fit going to be. Like,
and before we get done with this little exercise, do you think anything that they did in free agency points you to a direction in the draft? Or now are they set up for the proverbial holy grail best available?
I don't think they like that many players in this draft, so they just going to take whoever they like. Like, I think they'll take a couple offensive linemen just because that's where the draft is deep at. But they got 5 picks for a reason because I don't think they love this draft that much. And I think that they are going to just, if they like a guy, they'll take him, whatever position they are. So, I would have to say best player available.
Yeah. Well, I can't hate. They did a good job. They brought in a whole roster. They brought back pretty much the entire O line, pretty much the entire D line, pretty much the entire secondary. They have Jordan Akins and Njoku at tight end. Running backs. They're pretty stockpiled, and then they got 96 quarterbacks. What did you make of the Huntley decision? What does that mean? Does any of this mean anything for DTR?
Yeah, it does. I think people are being naive, not seeing it. DTR plays a little bit of a different style than every of those other quarterbacks. He has a different skill set than those guys. I still think that he has a future in the NFL. I don't think that future's with Cleveland. I think he ends up getting traded by the end of training camp or preseason. Like I think it's the writing's on the wall there. Tyler, like I know people are trying to tell me Tyler Huntley's a camp arm. Jeff
No.
Driscoll is a camp arm. Tyler
Yes.
Huntley is somebody who's going to make your roster.
Rosen is a camp arm.
Kellen Mond, like that. Those are camp arms. He was the backup to the MVP last year, and a backup that they expected and were okay with playing, to the point to where they refused to trade him a couple of times.
Right.
This is not just chopped liver. I know people. This is another situation where, because he was popular enough and played well enough to like get that fluke Pro Bowl thing, people meme him into the oblivion. Right. And this sometimes happens with quarterbacks. Like if PJ Walker, because he was good enough to get the XFL MVP, people meme him up to no end. But like you don't ever hear people talk about Tyler Heineke, who was a backup in the XFL, the same way they'll talk about PJ Walker, right? Like it's sometimes people will have their success used against them, which is hilarious to me. But come on, man. Tyler Huntley, I mean, he didn't go to the Pro Bowl because he was a Pro Bowl quarterback, but he was one of the best backups in the NFL a couple of years ago. And that dude's not going to be no camp arm. That's silly, right?
Yeah, when you play against him, he got a skill set where you have to worry about some things.
And he can move. And one of the things that they were using DTR for was his ability to move. So now you got somebody who can step in and do those packages. And when a team brings in two legit backup quarterbacks, when you were the backup quarterback last year, tell me in what world is that dude okay?
Yeah, I mean, right. And they did it on the same 2 days. Like, and Jameis, like, let's when you go back and when you look at Jameis Winston, like Jameis Winston has throws where you recognize, oh yeah, he was the first pick for a reason. Like he throws the football in some instances where it reminds you, like, okay, that's the guy. That's the dude that everybody saw something with. But yeah, I agree with you. I think DTR should be very, very cautious as he goes into the camp, because I think they got a very solid quarterback room right now.
Well, I don't think it's about being like, let me clarify where I'm at. He's just not going to fit on this team. Right? Like, it's not like a matter of, can he maybe he can outplay Tyler Huntley. Maybe that happens. But more than likely, they're waiting for a team to not get who they want in the second or third round and decide, instead of drafting Bo Nix in the fourth round, I'll just trade a fourth or a fifth for DTR, have him under contract for the next 3 years, and just live with it. Right? Like, I think that's more or less where they're going to go. Or maybe somebody gets injured, they get desperate, they want to go after Tyler Huntley, even though I don't think Tyler Huntley is somebody that people going to trade for, given the fact that he signed a vet minimum here, which, means that you're going to probably make the roster, but it doesn't mean that like people were like willing to trade assets for you, or else you would have signed the vet minimum somewhere else. So yeah, I think, this is obviously not a good sign for DTR. The Jeudy contract, I don't think that really has anything to do with Cedric Tillman, but if they draft if they draft Xavier Leggett, Cedric Tillman's in trouble. Right,
I'd be doing backflips off the top of this desk. It wouldn't hold up long because I'm big and fat. But so I'll take Leggett.
Yeah, and look, there's reasons why they might not be as high on DTR as they were last year. He clearly, I know we gave Kevin a lot of the blame for DTR not being prepared going into that game, but DTR admitted that he didn't take that week that serious, which when you're the backup quarterback, that's a different thing than just not being ready to play your first start.
One play away. You know what they say? You one play away. Speaking of, man, listen, matter of fact, man, one play away, we 1 day away from the Ultimate Browns. Make sure you check it out. I think Quincy will be on tomorrow. I'm going to ask him some questions. I'm going to ask him. I want to get him in his crystal ball. That sounds crazy. You can't get in another person's crystal ball. That's crazy.
Now, come on now.
That's crazy.
Now we can't share crystal ball.
I can't jump in.
What in the world is going on? I can't
jump in your crystal ball. That sounds just what that's. But what we gonna do?
Mason Cameron got y'all thinking too much. Y'all got me thinking too much. Come on, man. You made it nasty by making it nasty. That's what you did right there. Nobody was out here.
Now everybody else gonna have to follow suit. You know what I'm saying? But no, I'm gonna figure out what in his mind. Quincy, who's who should be really shaky? Like who coming into camp and being like, I don't know, I got to ball out. It might be a little early to get to it, but it ain't really too early to get to it because the Browns got a lot. If you wanted to do a 53-man roster right now, the Browns could field the team. They can field the team. A lot of other teams got a lot of work to do between now and then. We're gonna figure out. So I'm gonna ask Quincy. We're gonna get to some people who he already gave us Siaki. We'll find out who else need to like show up and show out during this camp. So make sure y'all check that out.
Make sure y'all check that out. Thank y'all for watching this video. Y'all have a great day. Have you better night. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you, bro.
All right.